Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. I am Clementine, and as always, I am Super Saiyan. But never mind that. In this video, I'm going to take this busted up Chinesium combo amp speaker, rip out all its innards, and completely recone it for free using nothing but a sheet of construction paper and a Red Bull can. We'll dope him up with some lacquer, build him a cool little box, run him an umbilical cord from another little cool box full of glass bottles, and some colorful clicker boxes on the floor there. I will show and explain this entire process in detail, so if this sounds like something you might be interested in, stay tuned!
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Alright guys, and gals, duly noted. This video is just a fun little experiment that I recorded last summer. Show how I used to fix speakers when I was a kid and that you can just take some garbage and make something to jam with. This ain't no tutorial. This ain't the right way to do things. It's just a fun video to make a quick edit to get something out there, but help another poor little kid like me with dreams, or maybe somebody in the Congo or Cuba. The actual video that I was working on was this, but it's been a crazy couple weeks. 8 inches of snow and negative temperatures in Alabama. They don't treat the roads here, so I got to be an ice rally driver. Seemed like a good time to stay in and edit video. But the caps in my editing rig thought they was JJ and said, "Dynamite!" Mail ain't running in this, so they can't send me no parts. Days later, when they finally do, they send me broken parts, so I have to become computer repair specialist. So obviously our homes and municipalities here are not set up for this. So my workshop has become the Clementine Plumbing Center. They cut water at my meter for 3 days, and that lack of flow took all my pipes. But it's all good, I'm getting back on top of it. Thank you to everyone for watching and commenting on this channel. Those YouTube pennies come in clutch at times like these, as well as just generally giving me a goal and a light at the end of the tunnel to point toward. Recent discoveries and changes in my physical health have made incredible improvements in my mental attitude, and praise be to the Lord for that. I was laying up under the house, getting wet insulation water dripping in my eyes, laying in the mud, singing "Turn the Page" and "We Don't Need Another Hero," and talking to them pipes like, "What does Marcel Wallace look like?" This is very different from the way I would have acted any time in the past 15 years. I think these changes will reflect very positively on this channel within the next year, and thank you all for listening to crap unrelated to this speaker build. I've always made it a point not to be personal on this channel, but if you can't have fun, what's the point? So let's get to MacGyvering up a guerrilla trench warfare style speaker cab from pure garbage. Okay, so this is the exact same scene from when I was flapping my gums, but this is from a different angle. All I'm doing is taking a little synthesizer, using it as a frequency generator through this little Marshall head, just to make sure that this speaker has a good voice coil in it, and that's worth trying to fix. The reason I kept this little speaker is you look at the back of it. Man, this is fancy. Separate terminals, lacquered magnet, foil label with like Cantonese all over it. Not to get political or anything, but this seems like it came out of one of those public address boxes. Either way, she's fully disconnected from the spider and busted all the way around, so any power that you put to it, just blow it right out the top. So I'm gonna do the wrong thing and just start clipping the cone off the voice coil, fold it and chop it out of there like pie sections. I'm being very careful not to cut those flexible leads that go to the little solder joint eyelets, as well as the little doped area that holds the magnet wire down going to the coil. I learned this Ghetto reconing technique from my Uncle BJ. He used to do a lot of 15-inch PV Black Widows back in the day when he played in a live band. Sometimes he would just cut about 3 inches from the voice coil all the way around, take the new kit, cut the middle out, and just glue them together. I didn't know you could recone speakers before I saw him doing that, and then after that, I'm everywhere I go. "Hey man, can I have that speaker?" And people say, "Oh, it's busted, it's no good." I'm, yeah, I'll see if maybe I can fix it. And they'd be like, "Okay then, little guy." That would have actually been around about exactly this time, about 1998. And by the way, I still don't think Limp Bizkit sucks. But anyway, the next thing to do is just take an X-Acto knife, stick it up under that gasket, rotate the speaker around, split it all off of there. Then you can just go around and rip all the extra paper that's left from the surround out of there, and we'll do it with 2 cameras here. Doesn't that look weird? Like one of those glamour shots from the 80s where they show the front of your face and the side of your head at the same time. Okay, so now we can take this plain piece of floppy black construction paper from the Dollar Tree, trace the outline of the speaker. To find a center point, you can set a compass to somewhere around halfway and just start making arcs from every side, and they'll all line up to a center point perfectly. Set it to about half the depth of the speaker basket, further than the original radius, make another radius. And yes, I am sweating like a pig. It's about this warm in this shop. So now we just need to cut around that outside radius, make this big old circle, and the magic is cutting one single slit from the edge to the center. And now you can make a perfect little cone. This is how 60s and before mini speakers were made. Even the cones of Yamaha NS10s are one piece, cut, and overlap photography paper. That is actually what inspired me to do this. I had gotten a set of NS10s with bound up speakers in them, and that made it very inefficient, and it made them much quieter and a much less bass than they should have had. And this made me think, hey, that would be great if I had like a super tight old school paper cone speaker that would be super inefficient. I could hook it up to a tube amp, crank it about halfway up, and practice without deafening everyone and myself. Well, as you can see, once you get this cone into the right shape inside the basket, you can mark it. Then you can mark an overlap glue line, chop out a pie cut out a small circle in the center, and now you're ready to create a cone. And for this, I decided to use Odie's PVC all-purpose cement. Yes, this is for plumbing, and yes, it works great for a lot of things. I held it till it tacked up and would hold shape, and then I took the glue ball and just doped down the back of that crack so it would not flap in the wind. Okay, now I'll show you two uses for a Red Bull can or a soda can of any kind. I figured this one out a weird way. When I was on a job with my dad, like I guess was laying towel in a bank, I was about 10 or 11, and Yellow Jackets had gotten my can. I go to take a drink of it, they all fly out. So from then on, I'm always looking down into my can. And I say, hey, that's an Altec Lansing or CTS Fender dust cap. If you sand the bottom off of one like this, you'll see that's exactly what it is. You sand around these edges, glue it on, and you got her whooped. The other use for the can is to cut a couple little strips off of it, take them and stick them down into the speaker coil to act as spacers and keep it centered. And right here, you're gonna start to see the beginning of a mistake that has a waterfall effect. Everything still works, but it could have worked a lot better, and the right thing to do would have been to rip this whole spider out of here, glue the voice coil to the spider separately, and then glue the spider in, but I used these shims and pushed it down, and I didn't notice I had pushed the voice coil down low. See how that spider, the orange part, looks kind of dented down? Yeah, for whatever reason, I didn't notice that. So I mix up some 2-part plastic bond epoxy. So I start slathering it around that voice coil and get that voice coil glued to that spider. And then I go ahead and just rub a lot of it around on the spider. I dope the spider with it. And normally there ain't a thing wrong with that. That'll make it stiff and thick and rubbery, but I had it dented down. And it's nothing more than mesh. Can you guess what happened there? I have no idea. I'm like all proud of myself. But the last time I done this, Snoop Dogg was still scary to old people. So I just go to fitting the cone and trimming it in around the voice coil. That's when I notice it kind of seems too shallow. So as I'm sweating like hell, like I'm in a sauna, I start pulling the spacers out. I reach and grab the edge of the coil. The spider's glued down to the basket. I had to take needle noses and just keep pumping it back and forth until I finally broke it loose just enough for it to work. Hooked it up to the amp, made sure it did. Then I proceeded to start trimming the cone in the center again to fit that voice coil, and it's still too far down. But I ain't about to make another cone, so what I do is just start doing the relief cuts all the way around the edge. Trim it down to size, and I realized that if I push it down in there enough to get a little bit of a wrinkle in it, it will touch that voice coil and help pull that voice coil back up. So I run a bead of Gorilla Glue around the outside of the speaker basket as well as the edge of the voice coil. Then I start pressing it around and fitting it, and I dropped a heavy metal object in the middle to suck down to the magnet to help pull that voice coil into that hole. And besides for the wrinkle, it looks like it's gonna do pretty well. After all that glue dried, it looks a lot better than I thought it would. So I take a little 50-year all-weather caulk and go around that voice coil to make sure it's stuck to the cone extra good. Then I just ran a bead around the can bottom to work as a dust cap, slap her on there, start gluing and placing the gaskets all the way around. And after that, she's ready for doping. I know that sounds crazy, but it's just a term from the speaker world. It means basically to put a thick lacquer or rubbery layer on the speaker cone, or maybe just the surround. I think this term comes from pipe dope, which is stuff you put on the threads like liquid latex. It's the same thing as Teflon tape. That sounds worse though. Pipe dope. Demonetize! What I'm using is like a really thick polyurethane glaze. This will keep that thin paper from being so crackly and crispy sounding. Then I figured out a caulking tube would fit perfectly over the dust cap. I hit it all with a good layer of black lacquer, and unfortunately that shine really shows off that wrinkle. So now y'all know what not to do. So I looked through my junk wood pile and I found a baffle from some combo amp that happened to be the perfect size for this speaker. Measured up a couple of scrap boards to make a rest of a cabinet, chopped them down, screwed them together, even found a little back door for it. After a coat of flat black paint, it looks pretty snazzy, so let's grab us a squire, couple little colorful pedally boxes, and a stage right 15-watt tube combo from Bezos over at the jungle site. So without further ado, let's see if this even works!
Is that quiet?
Well, that just means and there's some distortion. I got to, yeah, this is talking volume, guys. Talking volume. Well guys, that just about does it for this video. Things may have not went exactly the way I'd planned for them to go, but in the end, still got the desired result. It's basically a big gigantic tweeter with no surround and a hard paper cone. If you found this educational or entertaining in any way, please like and maybe subscribe! I am Clementine, you've been watching Heavy Metal ATC. Till next time!